players will be joining us shortly.
Are you guys ready? All right. Everyone go live in 3, 2, 1.
Well, I'm excited for our guys. I mean, it's been a tough stretch, a tough preseason, as it always is for our program. And, I think it was evident at the end of that game there was two teams that weren't used to winning. And you've got to experience it to understand it. It's not something that is, I say that always have said basketball is a contagious sport. If your team is starting to make one more pass and get assists, it becomes contagious, and everybody kind of joins in. But on the flip side, if one guy turns it over and it seems like everybody tries to do too much, and the next guy will turn it over. Guys make free throws, and it seems like the easiest thing in the world to do. But once you miss one or two, and the next guy steps up there, it becomes contagious. And and unfortunately, the big one is that when you've lost a couple games, you start, you got to play with confidence and without any doubt, and losing becomes something that is hard to get out of, and teams that are great teams, they just always feel like they're going to win. It's just very contagious feeling. It's a swagger that you really can't explain, and I was so thrilled with our team today because of the way we won. I mean, that was probably the best defensive game we've played all year, and probably the worst shooting game we've played. But we didn't let the shooting define us. I mean, we always have games where you don't shoot well, but you can't just lose them just because you don't shoot well. And I hope we don't ever have a game where our 3 off guards are 2 for 19 from 3 when you combine them. But if it happens, we know we can win now, and we know that there's other ways we can win than just outscoring somebody. That was one thing Coach Romar said to me at the end of the game. He said, "We're not used to playing in the 60s." And I told our guys, as frustrated as we were at the end of that game, they were one play more frustrated. And I felt like we really rebounded the ball well early in the game, and then it kind of, I don't know if we got tired or what, but we kept defending right down to Riggins getting the, jumping the ball screen and getting that big turnover with about a minute left. So I was really happy our guys got rewarded because they played the right way, even though, we can play better than that. You're not going to always play your best, and we found a different way to win tonight. You guys come on in. Tell me how much you love me. Tell me something.
Last field goal, was that Temmie's decision to pass the KJ down low?
Yeah, I know our offensive coordinator, Mike Scholl, said to him before the play, or correct Timmy, that hey, they've been really coming hard on the double here. Don't be afraid to, KJ needs to run. Did he tell you to run to the front of the rim? Or yeah. So I thought Mike Scholl, it's a good reminder, but ultimately the kids have to make the play. And I said that was to him after the game. I said, that was the other thing that was really great about this game, is to see them trust each other. It's easy in that kind of situation when you're in a flow, and Timmy, knew, but he had 2 guys on him, and to trust to make the right play, which was to dump it down, and so that's an option on that play, but it's Timmy's call, and he made a great call.
Timmy, I think you got your 4th double-double this season. Looking at Pepperdine, there are a lot of young bigs. Did you know that, and were you looking to exploit that from the jump?
I was just being aggressive, doing what I normally do, crashing up boards and just playing physical inside. It didn't really matter who the bigs were. I knew the game plan and just tried to stay aggressive.
KJ, obviously a great game, great way to finish. Just walk us through what you saw on the last play, and more specifically in the last few plays where you were key on defense.
With Timmy being as aggressive as he was, they started to crack down on him. And, in the huddle, I was telling Tim, they're bringing my guy over, so I'm open every time. Tim just told me to find the open spot, and he'll get it to me. So we did that the last couple possessions.
And on defense, did you guys change anything?
We just locked in on defense. We switched to 22 green, which is every man switched, ball screens come together, and that's basically it.
And that's where Mace made such a good play. He switched on to Ross and just kept him in front, and he actually got a deflection to get the turnover.
Coach, you mentioned learning how to win, so to speak, because both teams really hadn't been there, and you'd been in a lot of, I'm sure, close and frustrating games in the last few weeks, but you guys were finally able to pull it together, so to speak, and win a close one. Do you think that could create a contagious feeling going forward, or kind of a learning experience now that you guys have been through it?
Absolutely. I rambled on about this being a contagious sport for long enough, but it takes one to get two, and it's just like at the free throw line. Once you see a couple go in, it becomes a lot easier. And this game's going to help us a lot because we not only won, but we won trusting each other. We won with our defense. It was a grind out, and we won coming from behind. And those are all things that great teams have to be able to do on a given night. And so those are things we can draw from. And I always tell them this is a preseason for us. It really is. And we got to learn about who we are, and that's more important than the wins and losses. If we're worried about our wins and losses, we wouldn't play this schedule. We're worried about getting better and trusting each other. And I thought tonight we can take that a long ways with us.
Deshaun had one of his, not a good offensive night, but his best ball handling night. Why do you think that was?
Well, because he's being coachable, and I really love his attitude right now, and that's one of the reasons why I had him come off the bench, because early in games, Edon has just been, more consistent of just moving the ball and getting everybody to get, in a flow and a touch, and he didn't bat an eye. He didn't, he had a great attitude about coming off the bench, and he's done it for a couple games now. And I just think, we're trying to hold guys accountable for taking care of the ball on the offensive end. And I said, I can't do that if I just let you keep, playing all these minutes and not, and not holding you accountable for it. And he totally just agreed. He said, I know it. I got to be better with the ball. And it was good to see him back. That's, and he needed to see a ball go through the hoop too. He hasn't, the coming in and out of games and the accountability has kind of hurt his rhythm a little bit offensively, and I thought the second half he finally got a little bit of that back. But again, this is preseason, and I would rather take our lumps with somebody like that and get him right than to just let him keep turning the ball over and saying that's okay. It's not okay. Your point guard can't average 5 turnovers a game, but 7-1, we'll take that every day.
Temi and KJ, I know you guys weren't the ones shooting, but do you think that long break before today's game had to deal with you guys' poor shooting tonight?
I don't know. Just because if you were to see us in practice, you wouldn't think so. The way Brian and Edon and Griff light us up in practice, kind of surprising to see them miss this many shots. But, I think it's just we're kind of anxious. They want to do well. You know what I'm saying? They want to be the guys to hit shots for us when we're not attacking inside. But, we trust them, and that's why we keep going to them and we keep telling them to shoot. So we know that they're going to click soon. We believe in those shooters, and we know they're 3 good shooters, great shooters. So we're going to keep riding with them, and we know they're going to knock the shots down.
And I'd just like to add, I think you got to give Pepperdine some credit for that. They sped us up out there on the perimeter, and really early in the game kind of punched us in the mouth as far as getting out and pressuring those guys, and got them sped up, and we turned the ball over. We only had 11, which is great for the game, but we had 7 in just quickly in that first half. And what happens when you get sped up like that? Now all of a sudden you get open and you're not in rhythm, and so we went from being sped up, taking some shots, to now we take some good ones and you can't get them to fall, and that's one of those things that is hard to simulate. Like Timmy said, we had great practices this week, and they're shooting the ball fine, but Pepperdine had a lot to do with it tonight.
I know, not the offensive night you guys would have preferred, but at the same time, I think you're averaging 17-2, 17-3 turnovers per game, and tonight only 11 in a 1-point win. What did you do over the break to focus on that, trying to reduce the number of turnovers aside from what you just talked about with Book? What did you guys do as a team, I guess?
Just kind of being not a nice person when they turn it over in practice. We're trying to be accountable for it. We sub them out any turnover, and it's 5 push-ups in practice, and then, just trying to make them aware of. And that was what was so frustrating early in the game, because a couple of those turnovers are ones that since September, we've been talking about handing the ball off with 2 hands. We've been talking about not feeding the post from the top of the key. And to me, those are toughness turnovers, and those are unacceptable. Those are mental toughness, because they know that's unacceptable. We don't let them do it in practice, and we get in a game and start just handing it off with 1 hand, and doing some of the stuff that we know we're being held accountable not to do every day in practice.
Coach, just to talk about Deshaun one more time, we mentioned his assist to turnover ratio, but also on defense with 4 steals and 2 blocks. Can you talk about the effect of how he pressured the ball and really creating defensive opportunities that translate to fast break?
I'm not ready to say he had a great defensive game. That's one of the reasons, again, we're trying to hold him, because I think he could be the defensive player in the year in the league, and he's still gambling, and the 4 steals, and he's active, and I love his activity, and I think he's way leaps and bounds ahead of last year, but he's not where we need him to be. He's got to lock in and have awareness, just like he lost Ross in the zone there and hit on that last 3, and he got straight line blow-bys a couple times, and Ross is a heck of a player, so you can't go by that, but I think he can be even a better defender. But he's aware of it now, and he's accepting that coaching and trying to get better at it every day, so we live with that and continue to try to work with him. Thanks, guys.